Hey everyone, Deanne Castro here, Creative Memories Independent Advisor from Bakersfield, California. Today I want to show you kind of a tribute to the Veterans Day that we just had. I know it's a little late. I should have done this last week, but I didn't come up with the idea until this week. So it's a little late, but I still wanted to show it because it's important to honor those that have served our country and are still serving our country. So let's switch over to see my desktop. So these top two borders were made with the new Called to Serve paper pack. And it's a smaller paper pack. It's only got 6 sheets in it, two of each of the different colors. But it was just enough to make actually several borders. So I also used the US of Yay and a couple of the other prior 4th of July ones too to make this border. But the fun part is this punch is the candy cane stripe border punch that was designed for Christmas, but I've used it for something else. So see here, it really looks nice being a half chevron for this tribute to our heroes border. And I made them with different sizes because the words on one of these papers is different sizes. So see, back side of this paper has this hero, brave, freedom, proud to serve words on the back of this. And so depending on the size of the word was the size of the border I actually made. And I have another one here. This one was also done with some of the last 4th of July ones with the smaller words on it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to make one like this, but it's going to be a little bit smaller. So, and then these pieces behind here were actually squares that I cut down, and I'll show you how I did that. But depending on the width of these pieces of the border, depended on the size of the square that I used. Okay, so I'm going to try to remember to go over that with you in a little bit. So what I want to do first is I want to cut this side, and I'm going to use the candy cane border maker cartridge. But using these military stars makes it look like a half chevron. And I'm thinking of it, I probably could have used a full chevron. But for the size of what I was working with, just the half one worked just fine. So I'm going to slide this in here. And I'm sure you guys have seen lots of us do this before. But I pulled out the bottom part of this paper holder, lined the paper up all the way to the edge of this cartridge, push this back underneath, and then I'm going to put the paper in here like this, and then I'm going to line up this little knob with these. And as I go down the punch, it'll punch the design. So, okay, so I'm lining it up here. And as I go down, I'm just kind of moving this so it stays in the camera. Okay, get rid of these pieces. And then I'm going to trim this piece. And something I learned from one of the other advisors as she was teaching is a lot of times these border maker cartridges, it's hard to judge exactly the distance between here and here to cut this so it's even on both sides. But for this particular run and for actually several of the others, if you line the paper up with this 3 millimeter line. I know we always pretty much use the inches, but if you line it up with that 3 millimeter line, it's gonna cut the other side pretty much exact. So I'm gonna line that up here and just trim this off. Okay, then I'm gonna use the bronze shimmer paper. This is a little bit heavier. It's technically cardstock. I'm gonna cut an inch piece. And then I'm going to put that behind the piece that I just cut right here. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. So this will stick all the way down. Okay, and I'm going to line it up, just covering the holes that I punched all the way up. And then it gives a really cool shimmer underneath that border. It's kind of hard to see with the light, but see how that just shimmers? Isn't it pretty? Now that piece was just a little bit longer than my other 12-inch piece. So I'm just going to trim this off so it matches. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to cut this green chevron piece. Now, I'm going to try and cut out the hero word in that paper that I showed you, but it's going to be a little difficult because it's kind of right in the middle of the rest of this paper that I need. So I'm going to just try to cut it out and then still be able to use the rest of this piece. But because the hero is the largest word in there, I'm not going to quite cut the green chevron out as big as I did the original one. I'm going to try to trim it down just a little bit. So this piece, the chevron on this was 1 5/8 inches. So I'm going to take this and cut this at 1 5/8, which is just an eighth beyond the 1.5 inch mark. And I'm hoping this will be big enough. I think it will be. Well, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to make it, just to be on the safe side, 1 3/4 inch. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down the middle of the green chevron piece. And just going to kind of eyeball it here. All the way down. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is, that's a little bit smaller. Where's the other one that I had? Let's see. Uh-oh, I don't think I cut it big enough. Hold on, let me check this. 1 5/8. Is that what this is? No. Okay, what's this one? Sorry guys, bear with me. I gotta figure this out here. This is 2 inches, and actually, I like the 2 inches. So let me recut this. 1 3/4 wasn't quite big enough. Okay, so there's a 2 inch piece. So I'm going to take this off. Okay, put it on this one. Here again, just kind of eyeball it to get it centered. Okay, so now I think that larger word's going to fit on there. Okay, so now the tricky part is trying to figure out what size square to make these peaks out of. Okay, and I did it kind of a funky way. So you guys may find an easier way to do this, but this is just kind of how I came up with it. So for the 2 inch piece, the square needs to be let's see. I'm just going to kind of guess at this because I didn't make any of those that size. This is 2 inches. No. This one, 2 inches. No. So this one is 1 5/8, 1 3/4, 2, 1/4, 1 3. Let's just do 1 3/4. See how that works. And if it doesn't quite come out right, then I'll change it. So this one that I've done is 1 3/4. So before I cut all of them, I'm just going to test this. Now, what I've done to get the pieces that I've used is I've taken this square and I've put the edges, oops, right on the edge of this line. The top and the bottom part of the diamond are on this 1/2 inch line right here. And then I'm just going to cut the side off of it. Okay, so that this comes off. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to turn it around, still put the top and the bottom part of the square right on that 1/2 inch mark. You see that right there? And then I'm going to cut the other side. So now I'm going to see how this comes out, if the peaks are going to be up high enough. That's not bad. They don't stick up as high as down the other ones, but I think they'll still show up. Okay, so I'm going to finish with 1 3/4 inches for the rest of this. And I'm going to cut several of these squares. Guess I'm off camera there, huh? 1 3/4. And that one's too small. Okay. I'm going to double these up and do the same thing. Put the tips of the square right on the edge of that half-inch line. I'm going to come up with these little triangles from the end. Turn it around. Do the same thing. Put both those tips on the half-inch line. Now I've doubled this up, so there's 3 of them here, so you got to hold it really tight to make sure that they don't slip and slide around. There's a couple more. And you need maybe 6 or 7. This also depends on how far apart you're going to put these little pieces. The first time I did it, they were just about 3/4 inches apart. The last couple I did, they were inch apart. So I spread them out just a little more. Let's see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to turn this over. Put some tape on a bunch of these so I don't have to keep doing that. Okay. Now I'm using the regular adhesive. If you guys want, you can always use the repositionable, but some of you may have heard me say before that I try not to use the repositionable when I can, just because I end up overusing it and don't have much left because I run out a lot faster. So I try to use our regular adhesive as much as I can. Okay, so I'm going to line this up straight across on the mat. And then I'm just going to kind of see where this falls. And I'm just going to try to get this to be as even as I can on the top and the bottom. The other way to do that is to use one of these rulers because they've got better increments. So see how I've got this tip lined up on this line and this tip lined up on this line. And these mats don't have the lines as close together. So sometimes just using a regular ruler, this is the 0 centering ruler, helps kind of put this together. Now, I didn't want to use extra cardstock when I didn't really need to. So what I'm doing is I'm using these tips as though they were the full pieces, and I'm actually putting these an inch apart. Okay, so with this like this, I've got it lined up on the ruler, and then just putting the tips on there like this. I also have this tip lined up on that line and this tip lined up on this line. And that way I don't feel like I'm wasting any paper, which I know is kind of silly, but it also is less cuts, I think. So then I'll use a big one of these. Again, line it up on the lines at an inch apart. And then use these little triangles. Try to keep it as straight as you can across here too, because otherwise you're going to get them off like I am. have to reposition it. There we go. Okay. And again, at the 1/2 inch mark. And another one at the 1/2 inch. Well, I say 1/2 inch because it's in the middle of the inch right there, but they're an inch apart going across here. Okay, so I think you guys get the idea of what I'm doing. Now you guys can probably figure out a little bit better way to do that than I have. But you know me, I'm just playing around, just trying to get them to just use up the pieces however I can. And so this is what I came up with. Sorry, guys. But once you've done it a couple of times, it's actually pretty easy. Your eyes just kind of follow where you're looking to put them. Okay, and this one didn't get any adhesive on it. So let me put some adhesive on here. Put this piece on the bottom. Okay, so there you go. That's kind of how I just put them on there so that they turn out this way. It's pretty cool, huh? Okay, so these actually came out just a tiny bit over the edge. So I'll trim off the excess. Now, the tricky part's going to be this piece of paper because I'm going to need about this much of this paper, but I want this word out of there. So, and I just kind of fussy cut this. I didn't really um, have any rhyme or reason to this. I just cut just slightly outside of the letter, and anytime there was a little bit of an indentation, I just kind of cut it in that way. So in between the H and the E, just kind of swing it in, pull it back around. This doesn't want to work very well. Let's do it this way. There we go. It loosens up the paper a little more. Okay, so swing it in and around. Just kind of squiggle a little bit. Go in, back out, in, and out. Let's see, going this way. It's usually not this difficult, but because I want to cut inside this piece right here, so I can still use the paper for the border because I'm running out of paper. I'm just trying to improvise here a little bit, loosen it up a little bit so it'll cut easier. Okay, and then around that bow. There we go. Let's see. The bump's a little big right there. Let's trim it out. Okay. So now we've got this. It's going to go right on there. But I want to kind of measure this to make sure I can get it completely over that hole and still have that piece in the back. So let's see where I can line this up. So I'm not going to actually use this side, but I need to make sure this side is going to be cut straight. And then still have this piece to cover up that hole that I just cut. Let's move this up just a little bit. Okay, now we can guesstimate this side. So it looks like this is going to need to be about, let's see, 2 5/8 of an inch. May not need to be quite that big, but I know this is kind of a funky way to measure this, huh? But I just want to make sure that it that the tips of those triangles that I cut out are just about the right place. So make sure this is straight going down. And there we go. So we were able to save a little bit of paper, cut out the word that I was looking for, and then I'll go ahead and adhere this down. What do you think, guys? A little bit of improvisation, huh? Okay, so okay, now I am going to use a little bit of the repositionable tape along here to make sure that these edges will stay down. And then, oops, that's sticking out a little far. Okay, then center this on here. Take it all the way down. Get rid of the extra repositionable that we don't need. Now, if you wanted, you could put this on a foam square. It just kind of helps it stand out a little bit. I think I'm going to do that. The other ones I didn't have foam squares on. I just went ahead and put them on there. Where's the other one? So see, they look nice too, but they're just not popped up with foam squares. And this one's just flat. So we'll see what the difference is once I've got this foam squares on here. Opening a new package because I ran out of the bigger ones on the other ones I had. Okay, and take off the paper backing. And center this. Pretty much right there. Okay, so can you guys see the difference? There's a little bit of a difference here with the one that's just flat on the paper and the one that's up on the foam squares. It just gives it a little different dimension. So what do you think? We're all done. Just a different border, different way of getting these little peaks on here. And I think a real fun, pretty way to honor those who have served for us. So, okay, guys. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, it'd be great if you would subscribe to my channel. So just click on the subscribe button, click on the bell, and then that way you'll get notifications when my videos come out each week. If you do not have an advisor, I would be happy to help you out with your scrapbooking projects. Check out my website, creativememories.com, Deanne Castro. And if you have ever thought about becoming an advisor yourself, it's really not difficult. There aren't any minimums that you have to make. And you can get discounts on your products if you just want to be a hobbyist, or if you really want to grow into a business. This is a great way to do it. So I would be happy to help you with that too. Feel free, if you want to email me at deannecmc2@yahoo.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have and maybe get you started as an advisor yourself. But please, if you've already got an advisor, please check with her. Okay, that would be much appreciated. And I've got a scrapbook or Let's Scrapbook with Deanne group in Facebook, kind of a work in progress, but I'm wanting to show new products that are coming out, maybe other new ideas that I don't get for YouTube, and just a good place for all of us to learn from each other. So you can ask to join my group, and I'd be happy to let you in. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody, for watching the video this evening, and hope you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. All right, so I will talk to you later. Thank you so much. Bye.